Hi, this is Jeff Ritcher with St.Vincent Sports Performance. This month we're going to talk about core activation. A lot of times people only train the core in terms of flexion with sit-ups and crunches. We want to talk about a more dynamic and comprehensive approach that's going to talk about the most important aspect of training the core, which is stability. Okay, when we're running, when we're jumping, if we're not stabilized through our core, we're going to have a lot of wasted energy when we're trying to move our legs and our arms efficiently. So these next couple progressions with beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels are going to take you through a kind of practical course of action where you can at home and at practice start training your core in terms of stability to make sure that you're optimizing your sports performance potential. The first progression we're going to talk about is for beginners. We're going to look at a basic prone plank and a basic lateral plank. For the basic prone plank, you want to make sure that you start with your elbows directly underneath the shoulders. From this point, go ahead and take a look at your hips and make sure that they're not too low, like sinking towards the floor, and not too high, going up towards the ceiling. There should be a nice straight line from the shoulders all the way across down to the heel. Make sure you keep a nice neutral back throughout the whole prone plank. For the lateral plank, you again start with the elbow directly underneath the shoulder, and from this position, make sure you keep the hips all the way extended straight, the knees straight, and the toes pointed up towards the knees. Once again, in this position, you should see that there's a straight line from the heel all the way to the shoulders. Make sure you relax your upper body and not let yourself fall over, but bring yourself back up in a straight line. The next progression we're going to talk about is the intermediate progression. For the intermediate progression, we're going to do a prone plank with a pulse and a lateral plank with a pulse. For the prone plank with a pulse, make sure that you remain in a neutral back position, keeping a straight line from the shoulders to the top of the heel the entire time. All you're going to do is make the movement happen through the ankle joint. That's where the extension and flexion is going to occur. The hips stay in a straight line, the same distance up from the ground, and then you're just going to pulse back and forth. For the lateral plank, make sure that you keep your hips in a fully extended position and make sure the knees stay fully extended. Your body should be nice and straight. You're just going to drop the hips down to the floor and then raise them back up. Make sure that you don't drop the knees to the floor, but instead make the movement happen through the hips. The next phase of our core activation progression, where we're working on core stabilization, is going to be the advanced progression. With the advanced progression, we're going to start in a prone plank position and do lateral tap outs. Once again, you're going to keep your hips facing completely neutral, straight down towards the floor. Keep the hips locked in, keep the toes facing straight down towards the turf, and bring them out laterally, tapping to the side as far out as you can, and then back into the regular starting prone plank position. We don't want to have any hip rotation, so be careful that the hips don't shift and rotate left to right. For the lateral-based advanced progression for core activation, we're going to do the lateral plank with the under and over motion. The under and over motion needs to happen not only from the upper body, but also from the hips. When we start in the lateral plank position with our arm up high, we're going to rotate it underneath our body as we rotate both the hips and the upper body, and then we're going to bring it back up to the starting position. All right, for the beginner progression with the prone plank and the lateral plank hold, we want to do 2 sets of this for 30 seconds each. For the intermediate progression where we have the pulses forward and back, we're going to do the same thing. 2 sets of 30 seconds each. For the beginner and the intermediate progressions, make sure that you do the lateral plank on both the right and the left elbow. For the advanced progression, make sure that when you start in the lateral plank position, that you do 10 under and overs for each side with the right elbow down, with the left elbow down. When we're doing the advanced progression for the prone plank, we're going to do 10 tap outs per side. So we're going to get 10 with the right leg, 10 with the left leg. Thanks for tuning in this month to St. Vincent Sports Performance Tip of the Month. This month we talked about core stabilization and how it's really one of the most underrated aspects of training. A lot of times we don't think in terms of training our core to stabilize the body, but in fact that's one of the most important things we can train the core to do. So hopefully you guys got a couple things you can take away with the beginner, intermediate, and advanced progressions. Tune in next month where we're going to talk about another aspect to make your sports performance just a couple more levels up.